In the heart of South America lies the legendary city of El Dorado, believed to be made entirely of gold. Many explorers have searched for this fabled city, but it remains hidden to this day. Join us on a journey through the jungle as we explore the captivating tale of the Golden City and its enduring mystery. Hey, have you ever heard of El Dorado? It's a mythical city that was believed to be made entirely of gold, located somewhere in the Amazon rainforest. The legend of El Dorado has fascinated adventurers, explorers, and treasure hunters for centuries. According to the legend, El Dorado was a king or chief who lived in a city filled with gold and precious stones. It was said that the king would cover himself in gold dust and throw golden jewels into a nearby lake during a ceremony. He would then bathe in the lake, washing off the gold dust and jewels, thus making them a tribute to the gods. The story of the ceremony soon spread, and the city of El Dorado became synonymous with great wealth and abundance. The Spanish were particularly interested in finding El Dorado during their colonization of South America. They believed that if they could find the city, they would be able to claim the riches of the New World for themselves. Many expeditions were launched, but none were successful in finding the legendary city. The search for El Dorado became an obsession for many explorers. One of the most famous was Sir Walter Raleigh, who was convinced that the city lay somewhere in Guyana. He led an expedition in 1595, but it ended in disaster. Many of his men died from disease, and Raleigh himself was forced to return to England empty-handed. Despite the many failed attempts to find El Dorado, the legend persisted. In fact, it was the search for El Dorado that led to the exploration of much of South America. Many cities, including Lima and Bogota, were founded as a result of expeditions launched in search of a fabled city. In the 19th century, the legend of El Dorado inspired many adventurers and explorers, including Alexander von Humboldt, who explored the Amazon in the late 1700s and early 1800s. Although he did not find the city, he did document the many indigenous cultures that lived in the region. In the 20th century, the search for El Dorado became a topic of interest for archaeologists and historians. Some believe that the legend may have been based on a real city, or at least on the wealth of indigenous cultures that existed in the Amazon. Others suggest that the legend was nothing more than a myth created to lure European explorers into the region. Despite the many expeditions and studies, the location of El Dorado remains a mystery. Some believe that the city may have been swallowed up by the jungle or that it may have been destroyed by the Spanish. Others suggest that it may have never existed at all. The legend of El Dorado may never be fully solved, but it remains an enduring symbol of the allure of the unknown and the power of legends to capture our imaginations. Even today, the search for El Dorado continues as archaeologists and historians explore the Amazon in search of clues that may lead them to the fabled city. Perhaps someday the mystery of El Dorado will finally be solved, but until then, the legend lives on. As the story goes, the people of El Dorado were known for their wealth and abundance of gold. The legend goes that when a new king was crowned, he would cover himself in gold dust and paddle out to the center of Lake Guadavita on a raft made of reeds. Once there, he would offer gold and precious stones as a tribute to the gods by throwing them into the water. The Spanish conquistadors who came to South America in the 16th century were fascinated by the tales of El Dorado and spent years searching for the city. They believed that the people of El Dorado had vast quantities of gold, enough to fill entire rooms with it. The conquistadors' search for the city was brutal and destructive, as they looted and destroyed many indigenous communities in their pursuit of gold. Despite their efforts, however, the conquistadors never found El Dorado. As it turns out, the city was never a physical place, but rather a myth that served as a symbol of power and wealth. Today, the legend of El Dorado lives on as a cautionary tale of the dangers of greed and the consequences of blindly pursuing wealth. It also serves as a reminder of the destructive impact that colonialism and the quest for gold had on indigenous communities in South America. So, next time you're dreaming of hitting the jackpot or striking it rich, remember the story of El Dorado and consider the true cost of wealth. Perhaps the real treasure lies not in gold, but in the beauty and richness of the world around us.